use people's names because that's part of how we connect and bond and get them to like us. So step one is identify, meaning identify them. So Mr. Wuchikowski, hello, is this Lois or whatever? Make sure that you know who it is that you're talking to. That's step one.
If you don't have their name, are you the owner of the property? Right? Or use True People Search and find out. I think that's free, isn't it?
Yes.
TruePeopleSearch.com.
Yeah, it's free. There's so many ways to find someone's name. You should never be without a name. And if you're wrong, then say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. What is your name? So find out who you're talking to up front. Maybe even get permission to go to their first name.
Yeah, no matter who you're approaching, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1 is identify.
And step 2 is introduce. So the FCC says that if we are licensed realtors, we must disclose that we are licensed realtors. You can't like sneak and pretend you're a buyer and then say, oh yeah, by the way, I've got a license. So identify yourself. Introduce yourself, first name, last name, company name. Now, someone like Lucky Sobin, I think I might just say, I'm lucky, because that's going to trigger some great conversation. He's so lucky his mama named him that. That's his full name, Lucky. But anyway, sometimes if your name is complicated or of a culture that some cultures have pronunciation issues, you might want to just go with one half of your name, right? So make it easy for them. That's step 1.
Identify, introduce. Now, I'm Mike Palin with On Track Real Estate. And now I'm going to ask a question. Step 3 is always ask any kind of question you want. How about, does the name Floyd Wickman ring a bell? Or have you heard of On Track Real Estate? Or have you thought about selling your house either now or in the near future? Any kind of prospecting question you can ask here.
So it depends on who you're talking to, right? For example, expireds were my thing. That was my niche. And I loved to say this, wow, I just noticed that your property went off the market without selling. I can't even believe it. Are you still planning to move? So that was my first question, to catch their attention, to get them to say, oh, we just sold it. Or, well, no, we're going to stay here, which, by the way, doesn't mean I hang up the phone. It means now we're starting a conversation. With the for sale by owner, is your property still available? I specialize in your area. Is your property still available? With a neighborhood, we just listed a property near yours. Do you know anyone that wants to move in?
And then we're going to go to part 4, or step 4, if you will. Remember, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Identify, introduce, ask a question, and then give them the reason you're asking the question.
Right.
And the reason is where a little bit of creativity comes out. Yeah. So if it's, I'm talking to my book of business, what's my reason for calling? What did you all learn in the program? I'm expanding my business
and I need your help. Right.
Right. If you're calling an expired listing, Mary's was, do you still plan on moving? Floyd would say, do you still want to sell? If you're really creative, you might say, well, the reason I ask is I want to make sure you're not going to put your house back on the market anytime soon. You're not, are you? And that'll get their attention. Yeah. Why would you ask that?
Because it's a no question and people like to say no.
Because it didn't sell. That's why. Yeah. If it's a for sale by owner, would you be willing to share with me why you're doing all this on your own, taking all the risk and doing all the work on your own? What's your reason? If it's a specific buyer, well, we'll get to that. Okay. But there's book of business. If it's just listed, there's a new listing on your street and they're pretty eager to sell. Have you run into anybody who'd like to live in this neighborhood, who'd like to buy here? Or if you just sold, we just sold a house right around the corner from you on Misty Meadow. As a result of all this activity, we have a surplus of qualified buyers. So,
or we had multiple offers and there are 5 people that didn't get a chance to move into this neighborhood. I kind of made a commitment that I'd try to find someone else that maybe was thinking about selling. That's the reason that I'm knocking on your door, that I'm calling you on the phone, that I'm sending, this would certainly work if you were sending an email or creating a postcard. Same kind of deal, same kind of message.
And I'm holding 5 offers in my hand with the buyer's names redacted out. These 5 people didn't win the multiple offer auction. They want to live on this street in a house like yours. So then we go to step 5, which is?
Ask again in another way.
That's right. You're going to ask twice in this approach. Maybe even identify the person you're talking to. Are you Mr. Wojciechowski? Then introduce yourself. Well, I'm Mike Palin from On Track Real Estate. And then ask, I stopped by to see if you thought about selling your house either now or in the near future.
No, we haven't.
Well, the reason I ask is we just listed, we just sold, whatever your reason is.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So have you who do you know that has?
And step 5 then was, have you given it any thought at all? In other words, in step 5, you don't say, so you don't want to move, huh? If you're not confirming the no, you're asking again. And Floyd explains it this way, that step 4, the reason draws out the yes. If there's a yes hiding in there, you gotta remember, I've got a great student right now that's knocking on doors. And, hi, hey, I just stopped by to see if you wanted to sell. The market's really great. No. Okay, thanks anyway. Well, they haven't even told their children they're thinking of selling. They may have only discussed it privately. They're not ready to let the world know they're thinking of selling. So you as a stranger asking, are you thinking of selling? What do you think most people are going to say? Even if the answer is yes, they're going to conceal it. They're going to say, nah, well, no, we really haven't. So the reason, step 4, draws out any chance of a yes that maybe was hiding in there.
Let's say I'm brand new. I don't have a database. I need people in my book of business. Maybe I go out and I say, have you thought about selling your house either now or in the near future? Oh, the reason I ask is I'm expanding my business. Who's your realtor? Could be that simple. And by asking the question, who's your realtor? You're going to add people to your book of business.
Could I apply for the job? Yeah, I don't have a realtor.
But the reason, now if you go back to Real Estate BC, that's before computers, Floyd had a buyer who had a handicapped child. And the handicapped child needed to live on a bus route where the buses were handicapable, where she could get on. And there was only 2 neighborhoods in all of Warren, Michigan, where they had those buses. So he talked to the people and said, I'm going to make a commitment to you. I'm going to call every homeowner in this area till I find you a place to live. So what he did was he went out and used that 5-step approach. He identified the homeowner, introduced himself, asked if they thought about selling, and then gave them the reason. I'm working with a young couple. Gave them their name because he had the couple's permission to share some information. And they have a handicapped child who needs to be on this bus route so they can get to where they need to go. And I made him a promise that I'd talk to every homeowner in the area till I found him a place to live. So have you thought about it? And for your reasons, they're not going to help you. But to help that family out, all of a sudden it opens their mind, it opens their heart, they buy into that story, and that's when, if they've got a name or thought about it, that's when it's going to start to come out. So
you are not allowed to use this technique if you don't have a buyer. Because we have to be honest.
Well, that goes without saying.
Well, no, it doesn't. It needed to be said. But you could use it if someone else has a buyer. You have a buyer and they need a house. Can I use them? Because you ain't going to call. I'm committed to prospecting. So I get the name. Now, you don't have to have the name. You could have the ages. You could have where they work. You could have how old their kids are. You could have where they're moving from. So 3 or 4 details about these people. So you're not lying and you're not saying, we have buyers, because everybody does that. So it's got to be real. I like that idea of taking those offers of the people that submitted an offer and it wasn't chosen, because that's not made up. It's also not saying I have this buyer, because they might have been co-op offers on my listing. But here are 4 families that didn't get a chance to move into this neighborhood. Pretty hot little technique.
Yeah, so you get your buyer's permission to share some personal information. I'd like to talk to every homeowner in the area you want to live in. And I'd like to be able to share a few details about who it is that I'm representing. So would you mind if I said you're this and such and so?
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, your buyer's going to say, you do that for us?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it'll at least firm up your loyalty with your buyer if you don't have agency agreement signed. Yeah.
So then if step 4 pulls out the yes, if it's hiding, you need step 5. So have you given it any thought at all? And you might even add a step 6. Do you know anyone in the neighborhood, or who do you know in the neighborhood that might be thinking of selling? And those can also be reversed, just to make it a little more complicated. So you could do step 4 and say, so would you happen to know anyone in the neighborhood that's thinking of moving? How about you folks? Have you given it any thought at all? And so whether you're dialing, whether you're knocking, whether you're reaching out to, expireds, it's the same kind of thing, right? 1, 2, 3, identify, introduce, ask, then give them a reason. I was noticing that your property is so great. I mean, it's got a fireplace, it's got a triple garage.
Yeah.
I just can't even believe it didn't sell. And then engaging in conversation. How long was it on the market? They don't know that you know that. What price did you start out at? Wow. How many offers did you have? And then step 5. So would you still like to move? So this is the key that gets people talking and is going to help you land listing appointments. We believe that you need more listing appointments, and it really behooves us to go out there and generate listings. In fact, I think that's our topic next time we do this, next Wednesday, right?
Sure is.
We've been experimenting and learning and listening to how can we help you find more people to say yes to you. Not just, yes, I'll let you come over and have an appointment, but here's the next challenge. You get to the listing appointment and there's nothing for them to buy. Oh, we'll list our home, but first we want to find one. And we've been teaching the buy-sell analysis for lots of years, but there's some new, pretty creative techniques. And we thought we'd cover some of those next Wednesday to help you get listings when the seller says, well, until we find one, we're not going to list ours because ours is going to sell in 24 hours. And they're probably right.
So I want to give you a real creative 5-part approach. If you've got a buyer who's been frustrated and disappointed more than once through multiple offers, maybe. Are you the owner of the property?
Yes.
My name's Mike Palin. I'm with On Track Real Estate. And
Hi, Mike.
I stopped by to see if you thought about selling your house either now or in the near future.
Well, I'm not really.
You might be wondering why I'm asking you.
Okay.
I represent a young couple by the name of Di Giovanni, and they have 2 kids. And they made an offer on a home around the corner from you. The one that was for sale in Misty Meadow.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and they didn't get it. So they're kind of frustrated, and they drove by your house and called me and said, Mike, we love this house around the corner. Would you ask them if we would be willing to pay their price and let them move when they want? Would they consider selling to us? So I stopped by to make you an offer.
What? Really?
Yeah. How much do you want for your house? If you don't have a market, go make a market.
Love it. Well, our goal was just to do a short blurb today, get you jazzed about prospecting.
A little bite-sized tip from Floyd Wickman. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No matter who you're approaching, identify, introduce yourself, ask your prospecting question, give them a reason why you're asking, and then ask it again in a different way. And no matter who you're approaching, you just fit your words into the track, and it gets you off to the kind of start you want to be and starts a conversation.
So have lunch with us next Wednesday too at 12:34 Eastern Time or 9:34 for Jan Thurston. Bye, everyone.